is a 10 News Updates.
Coming up in the 5 o'clock news, more than 40 arrests as protesters storm Sydney's Lucas Heights reactor, their actions sparking major security fears. Osama bin Laden flees again, his Al-Qaeda network losing control of its final stronghold. Fears doctors won't be able to treat serious head injuries because of soaring insurance costs. And the king of trash television sweeps into Sydney. And join me full of those stories and plenty more at 5.
Tonight at 7:30, Sandra Sully presents Killing for a Living. At 8:30, The Secret Life of Us. Then the flares, the fashion, the music. Mamma Mia, it's ABBA.
Seriously, 10.
First at 5. 10 News with Ron Wilson and Jessica Rowe.
Tonight, nuclear fury, a major security scare at Lucas Heights.
Osama bin Laden slips through the net again.
And the surgery shortage. Soaring insurance costs put lives at risk.
Good evening. Also tonight, the king of trash TV, Jerry Springer, in Sydney.
But first this evening, serious concerns about the security of Sydney's Lucas Heights nuclear reactor. Greenpeace protesters stormed the complex today, easily outfoxing armed guards.
Like a covert military operation, 2 trucks carrying more than 30 Greenpeace activists spark a red alert at Sydney's nuclear reactor. Demonstrators armed with nothing more than mock nuclear waste barrels jump out of vehicles in a protest against plans to build a second reactor at Lucas Heights. Highly trained armed guards from the Australian Protective Service unable to offer any resistance. Once inside, demonstrators did as they pleased. Several colleagues had arrived several hours earlier, using ladders to scale perimeter fences before climbing to the top of the radio transmitter tower and abseiling down the side of the reactor. Banners were unfurled across the site. Even a paraglider was brought in to spread the word. The atmosphere outside was tense, with more than 250 workers stranded for several hours.
Just a self-righteous pompous.
As Keystone Cop-like scenes were played out inside. Dozens of police descended, but it's their response time which has authorities worried. The first car did not arrive until more than half an hour after the break-in. Other police not following for another half an hour. Pole Air was brought in to try and coax protesters off the tower.
We'll be applying more resources down there to prevent this happening again if we can.
4 hours after it exploded into life, the drama was over. And as the small contingent of demonstrators are taken away, authorities are now asking just how they were able to plant several of them in there and how some of these people were able to remain undetected overnight remains a mystery to authorities. Protest organisers say it was all too easy.
Well, ANSTO has said that since September the 11th they are maintaining enhanced security at Lucas Heights, but I think that our actions today have demonstrated that that's not a sustainable position at all.
They did get past guards, yes, against, as I say, the first line of deterrent.
More than 40 people were arrested, charged with trespassing. They'll face Sutherland local court. Frank Coletta, 10 News.
An internal Qantas memo threatens to escalate industrial action over Christmas. 2 unions are digging in their heels, refusing to accept an 18-month wage freeze.
A leaked briefing document to maintenance unions has severely embarrassed Qantas. It tells Qantas managers that if we are to have a major dispute, now is the time.
Very disturbed if Qantas is trying to imitate a Patrick-style dispute with a pre-arranged plan to declare war on its own workforce.
It basically says that Qantas will be set about to crush its own employees. I just think it's totally un-Australian.
The document was put before the Industrial Relations Commission, which was today trying to resolve the ongoing dispute over pay rates. Qantas representatives made no comment on the document, but denied they were involved in any coercive behaviour. Unions asked for a guarantee the airline won't try to punish their members for rejecting an 18-month wage freeze. If the parties don't come to some middle ground over the pay rates, the unions say industrial action is inevitable.
Qantas is saying that Christmas is the time to take on its workforce, so if there's any unhappy Qantas passengers worried about flights, they should be ringing Qantas and saying, why are you picking a fight with your workers at Christmas?
Qantas has assured travellers that Christmas flights won't be disrupted even if there is industrial action. The airline says it's disappointed maintenance staff have rejected its offer, saying 92% of the Qantas workforce has already accepted it. Laureen, Deale, 10 News.
Meanwhile, domestic air safety is to get a big boost before the Christmas rush. The federal government says armed Sky Marshals will be on domestic flights as part of cabinet measures to counter terrorism. It expects to deploy 22 marshals from the first group, trained in consultation with American experts and state and federal police. The announcement follows union protests claiming lax security around Australia.
American officials are admitting tonight they have no idea where Osama bin Laden is, but they're confident he'll eventually be captured as US forces chase hundreds of his followers into mountains near Tora Bora.
Relentless bombing of the Tora Bora region has decimated al-Qaeda, alliance forces leading a two-pronged offensive in the area's valleys. This allied commander says they've killed 200 al-Qaeda fighters and captured 35. It's far short of the 1,000 thought to be hiding in Tora Bora's many caves. This anti-Taliban fighter says caves like this one can hold up to 10 truckloads worth of weapons, but there's no sign of Osama bin Laden.
I don't think we do know where he is. The best bet is he's probably still in Afghanistan trying to avoid military forces, but I can't ignore the possibility that he might not be. He might have gotten out.
Out to Pakistan, US forces are bombing south of Tora Bora, close to the border, hoping to cut off any escape routes. Afghanistan's new leader in waiting, Hamid Karzai, will take over the new interim government next week. He met with US Defence Secretary Donald Rumsfeld in Bagram, north of the capital, Kabul.
The people of Afghanistan were ready for a change. You can certainly feel that, yes. See that.
Despite the fall of Tora Bora, the war in Afghanistan isn't over.
There are still pockets of Taliban and al-Qaeda that exist in this country. There are also Taliban and al-Qaeda forces that have drifted into the mountains and could reform. And there is a good deal yet to be done.
And the list of injured US Marines is growing. 3 soldiers were hurt while working to clear Kandahar Airport of landmines. They were medevaced to the US base Camp Rhino in the desert south of the city and onto hospitals in the Gulf region. Michelle Stone, 10 News.
A new tactic to fight vandalism on Sydney trains. People are being urged to dob in train vandals over the Christmas New Year period. A successful arrest and conviction will earn a whistleblower $500.
Vandals call this type of paintwork art or their personal expression. But for City Rail, it's a $50 to $60 million a year clean-up bill.
That's the equivalent of about 20 railway station upgrades a year.
Now, City Rail and the police service have joined forces to launch Operation Tag, a 6-week assault on graffiti gangs and vandals who see the network's rolling stock as their personal canvas. But their activities do come at a high price.
And already in the last 18 months, 9 people have paid that terrible price, either being killed or seriously injured while carrying out vandalism or graffiti works.
Operation Tag will see stepped-up security across the network. However, the success of the 6-week program will depend heavily on the travelling public dobbing in the tag gangs and police catching them in the act.
It's always very difficult, particularly late at night, to catch people who will find access to rail yards such as this and start painting trains.
These leaflets will be handed out at most platforms. A successful arrest and conviction earning the Dobby $500 for their efforts. But this operation's not restricted solely to graffiti, but also a worrying increase in vandals targeting signalling and other critical City Rail equipment.
We're fearful that in the fullness of time that may result in a lower level of safety than we want to provide.
The City Rail chief also wants a review of current penalties for graffiti and vandalism, claiming the punishment at the moment doesn't fit the crime. Tim Collits, 10 News.
Still ahead in the 5 o'clock news, surgeons forced to turn their backs on head injury patients.
Also tonight, late delivery, why women are opting for a pregnant pause.
And the real man behind the madness, Jerry Springs, into town. We'll have that story a little after 5:30.
I'm an actor, I'm not a, hunk. I mean, none of this.